Right. I suppose, Sinead, you've prepared for a lot of finals, but it mustn't be a feeling that you kind of get bored of. It must be the highlight of your sporting year in essence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose at the start of the year, setting out, you want to get back to Croke Park and ultimately to have the chance to win a championship. So, yeah, it's a great place to be and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose Cork, down through the years, have been, I don't know, they're a team that you kind of struggled to beat, but you did beat them here in the league back in February.
Yeah, I suppose it's hard to remember parts of the league. It seems a long time ago, but yeah, look, I suppose in any case, most games, I think you have to prepare game to game, and that's certainly the approach that we've taken this year. So yeah, we're looking forward to the final, and we've 2.5 weeks put in at this stage, and final touches to go, I suppose, to prepare for Sunday, and yeah, just looking forward to the game.
But I suppose Cork, they're a bit like Kilkenny and hurling or Kerry and men's football. Like, it must be something different when you're preparing for Cork, considering especially the rivalry you've had with them over the years. Like, final a couple of years ago and the couple of finals before that. Like, they're a team that are at such a high level. It must be something you have to raise your game to compete with them.
Yeah, no, I suppose obviously they've an awful lot of titles to their name, so obviously they've huge pedigree coming in. But I suppose we have familiarity over the years, but as I said, I think every game stands on its own, and that's very much the way we've been preparing. Our last game against Galway is probably the most relevant for us in preparing for this. So we're looking forward to it, but I think forward is the words and not backwards.
Sure, and I suppose I'm about to do the opposite of what you just said. Thinking back to the last time you were coming in as All Ireland champions, of course, it's difficult to put two in a row, but now you're only kind of one game away from it. So it makes it such a big occasion on Sunday, but you've shown, and certainly this year, the level of performance that Dublin have put in, particularly I think the first half against Galway, like it seems to be nearly at a new standard. Like, have you found that yourselves that you're more happy with the performances that you're putting in as a team in 2018 than you were previously?
I think, look, from every game we'll take positives and negatives out of it. That's been no different to how we've approached our season last year, our season this year. So I think that's trying to find that measure of consistency really is what you're going for, and obviously you have to look at things that you haven't done well, but also take the positives out of it. So that's very much been the approach. Take it game to game and just putting the building blocks in place.
In your area of the pitch, like I was obviously down at the two semi-finals down at Dr. Hyde Park, it seemed like Donegal got a little bit of space in Cork's full back line, and that's obviously an area of the pitch that you'll be playing in. So are they a team that you can get at, do you feel?
I didn't see much of the Cork Donegal game, but look, obviously it was a tight enough game, no more than ourselves, but I think Cork are very solid all over the pitch and defensively. They've huge leaders back there as well. So I think we'll probably just have to be patient on the day and just work the openings. But I think it'll be one of the key battle areas, I suppose. But equally, they have forwards that can do damage. So I think it'll very much be how the defence and the opposition stack up against each other.
Sure. And I mean, are you the kind of player that likes to kind of analyse who potentially could be marking you, like trying to think about matchups in your head, or do you just wholly concentrate on your own game going into a game like this?
No, I think things can change so quickly in a match. It's if you're looking at what the other team might do, you're losing focus, I suppose. So we're just preparing for, I suppose, putting our own forward line in good fettle, I suppose, going into the match, and just making sure that everyone is sure of the role, and you want to play football. You want to go out and focus on your own game and not get too caught up in the opposition.
What about Sinead Aherne on an All-Ireland final Sunday? Do you have a particular routine? You've obviously been there quite a few times. Like, I know the men's team don't meet up in a hotel before. Will you guys be in a hotel the night before, or is it meeting at a particular point that morning? How does that whole day kind of work?
No, I suppose we're lucky enough in that we have the advantage in being in Dublin based. So we just, I suppose, players do their own thing in the morning, and we're probably this year we've had a lot of games that have been evening games, 4 or 5 o'clock kickoff. So we're pretty used to, I suppose, the time of day that we'll be playing at. So pretty routine at this stage. We'll just meet up beforehand and head into the game. And
are you a kind of superstitious person? Is there anything that you do in particular that you like to keep a routine of on an All-Ireland final Sunday?
Not that superstitious, I suppose. I have little things like I put my left boot on before my right one and things like that. But no, it's as I said, it's probably been through the mill on games like this now. So it's nearly just the body starts to do it before the mind tells it to. So.
Coming down off such a good performance against Galway, like how quickly do you put that game behind you? Can you are you allowed to enjoy the Saturday evening or the Sunday evening or whatever it might be, or is it kind of immediately thinking about All Ireland final in a few weeks' time?
No, like I think you take a bit of time to enjoy it. You know, we're here as athletes, and you know you actually have to celebrate. You know, getting to an All-Ireland final. I think it's important that we spend that bit of time together and enjoy it. So, you know, Saturday night we were travelling back. It was a bit late, obviously, but you know, we enjoyed. You know, I suppose haven't got to an All-Ireland final is nice to be in. The focus very much switches back. You know, the next training session. You're trying to hit the ground running again, so yeah, look, it is enjoying it, but you know, we knew ourselves that we needed to put 3 weeks of good work in as well, so it was switch the focus in pretty quick.
Sure. And you're talking about enjoyment. Do you enjoy the actual build up to all these things? I know we were talking to Mick earlier, and he actually hates it, but you know, it's a long time between the semi-final and the final, and you know, there's media and there's lots of other things to do. How much of that do you enjoy?
Yeah, I think last year we had 4 weeks, so probably was a bit longer. 3 weeks is probably a nice time. You know, it kind of gives you a bit of time to get the admin stuff, I suppose, sorted out, and then just focus on the training and that. So yeah, look, I think it's probably a nice amount of time just to kind of get the balance right between, as you say, having to do things in the build up to that go along with a final, but equally just making sure that the focus and training is right. And I suppose today is probably the first day that you kind of you're in Croke Park, and it probably it's probably the first bit of awareness you get of it. But once you get over today, you're back to training, and yeah, just get the head down again.
Is there any extra pressure on yourself because you are the captain of the team? You know, as I say, there's lots of build up to these things. There's lots of things that have to be done on the day as well. How do you take all of that extra pressure in your stride?
Look, I suppose it just becomes part of the routine. It's small things really. It's small adjustments to the dial. So it's not a massive difference, I suppose, to how everybody else is preparing. So no, I think it just becomes part and parcel of it. And really, the main focus is just to make sure you're playing well, and that's the most important part of my job, really. And
I suppose the lead up to this as well, I'm sure the players are sick of being asked about the previous matches against Cork. I'm sure that the players, to you guys, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's literally it's 15 against 15. It just happens to be Cork this year. So I'd say there hasn't been much discussion among the players themselves about the previous finals. No,
I mean, as I said, it's very much about looking forward to who you're preparing for. It only comes into it to a certain extent, and really it's you got to get yourselves right, and that's always the emphasis that we put on games. We obviously pay respect to every opposition that we play, and that's no different in terms of doing your work. But really, the main focus for us is always on ourselves and making sure that we're putting in place what we need to perform in the day.
And Cork, they play a fairly defensive system. They flood a lot of bodies back behind the ball when they don't have it. This pitch here in Croke Park is very, very wide. Does that make it more difficult for a side who does play that sort of system to cut off all the spaces?
Look, I think Cork are very experienced, I suppose, in terms of they've good continuity in management and players. So they're familiar. They're obviously very confident in how they play it. So we're probably just going to have to be patient and really, I suppose, make sure that we're probably going to have to wait for some opportunities to open up. But as you say, it's a nice pitch to be out playing football on, and you just want to, I suppose, be able to go out and express yourself, and hopefully as a forward line we can do that.
And has there any discussions been said about there's a piece of history up for grabs on Sunday for Dublin as well, to be the first side to do back-to-back All-Ireland titles?
Doesn't really come into it. As I said, we take every game as it comes. We've been preparing for each game as a one-off, which is what it is. If you don't perform on the day, then it doesn't matter. Haven't looked ahead. You've just set yourself up for a fall. So as I said, we're looking forward to this game. We've had 3 weeks. We know that we're facing a step up coming into this game, and we need to raise our game. So that's just purely been our focus.
And just reflecting back just quickly on the semi-final against Galway, Dublin were well ahead at half time, and I spoke to a couple of the players last week as well. Being that far up at half time, when you come out in the second half, psychologically, is it hard to keep the momentum going? Do you get sort of maybe subconsciously it seeps in that you sort of take your foot off the gas a little bit?
I think think we probably just made a couple of skill errors at times in the game where Galway, being a good team, punished us, and look, that's what happens. If you let someone get a sniff of a game, then Galway are obviously a really good team, and they took some opportunities that came their way. So I think that's something for us that we took out of the game, and that we really just need to tighten up on a few things, and obviously that's great practice for us, I suppose, to have coming into a final to have been tested like that.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing to look at as well, in years gone by, maybe when that happened in games, Dublin would find it difficult to wrestle control of the game back, but the team actually did that. After Galway had their little spell, Dublin got back on top again. I suppose that's possibly something that's been learned from the previous years.
Yeah, look, as I said, we probably you take it in for what it is. You reflect on each game, and you want to take your positives and your negatives out of it, and make sure that you're going in the right direction. So I think we very much tried to do that after the Galway game, and there's certainly things that we need to improve on that we've gone after in training for the 3 weeks. So look, it's all to see, I suppose, as to how it comes out in the day, but we know that we obviously have to put in a huge performance for 60 minutes if we're going to get over the line.
And as captain yourself, would you be a fairly vocal captain in the dressing room and that before the game and at half time?
I wouldn't say I'm the most vocal person. Probably what I say is probably I don't say words for the sake of it. So I don't mince my words either. But I think look, the girls are obviously, there's huge experience in there. There's plenty of voices and plenty of leaders amongst the various lines in the pitch. So I think what needs to be said always gets said by one person or another. And
just reflecting back on last year's final, they had a record crowd here for the game. Well, the noise when the teams came out, did you take much notice of that?
Probably, I suppose, at stages it was probably one of the games where you could reflect on it. It was more than just noise. It was probably just there was a knowledge in the crowd that's starting to build, which is great. To see that more people are coming to the games and engaged in games. Obviously, it's great to get kids here, and to see that, to have that growing up is the same. I remember coming to watch finals when I was 9 and 10 years old in Croke Park. So I think it's a great day out for kids, but obviously as well we're trying to build the age profile of the fan base as well. So I think it'd be great to see another great good crowd out on Sunday.
And soaking up the atmosphere and everything else, do you take sort of a couple of seconds just to take it all in and then switch into game mode?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, yeah, you do take it in. You probably have to, just to we're not, I suppose, robots going around out there. You have to enjoy it, but there's always that kind of clarity and, I suppose, focus that goes along with it, and we probably have that bit of experience now to have the balance.
Can I just a couple of very quick ones? In terms of, Nigel was saying to you there about you're maybe a person who picks your words. You're not necessarily going to be screaming the dressing room down. Do players come to you? I mean, you're someone with massive experience at this level. 15 years involved. You kind of make his book ending your career, so to speak, in terms of his management. Like, do you speak to players, or do players come to you and kind of ask your advice about kind of things like this? In terms of your role being specifically as captain, like what's different from maybe some of the other senior players in the squad that you would do?
I mean, obviously we would, as a group, we would very much have that open environment, and we'd obviously encourage everyone to, if they had things that were on their mind, or whether it's about styles of play or deeper issues, stuff that might be going on, that the door is always open for anybody. So yeah, whether it's amongst the senior players or coming to myself or Noel as vice captain, just to iron anything out. We very much would be about being there for each other, to support each other as a group. So yeah, I think there's always somebody who you can lean on for a bit of advice. And
I was speaking to Jim Gavin before the men's final, and he was saying that when he left Gaelic football, I think it was 2002, he quit the inter-county game. There was still that kind of era of managers throwing teacups against the wall and newspaper headlines going up the wall and questioning players, getting into their faces, kind of thing. Is that something you ever experienced, or is that something that you expect to happen on Sunday morning?
I can't see Mick throwing any teacups around the place, but no, I think it very much depends. There's obviously a lot of emotions that goes with that, and sometimes it comes out, but I think that's part and parcel of it. You wouldn't want any less, I think. But I think it's about managing that as well, and we probably have a good balance amongst our various members of the management team in terms of different styles and approaches to it. So sometimes it's a bit of tough love, and sometimes it's the arm around the shoulder. So I think it depends on the situation and the player involved, and we'd very much be about I suppose seeing what it needs in a particular situation. And as I said, we have a good group in terms of supporting each other just amongst players and management.
Well, Sinead Aherne, thank you very much.